Hello and welcome to the Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friend. If you've been looking for a podcast geared towards your growth, self-awareness, navigating your brain's daily mind drama, and deep inner work to become your highest and best self, you are in the perfect place. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Becoming Your Highest Self podcast. I am beyond excited to be back, you guys. I feel like I have been gone an eternity. It's only been like 3 or 4 weeks, I think, since I recorded a podcast. So the plan was to record the last podcast 3 weeks ago to let you guys know that I was doing a 15-day free coaching series called A Glimpse into the Work on my Facebook page. And before I could record the podcast, my computer decided it was going to go kerplunk, and it completely died. It would not turn on. I couldn't recover anything. And I was actually fairly calm about it just because I knew that I was getting ready to do 15 days of free content on my Facebook, but I did think about all of my podcast listeners that maybe don't follow me on social media. So all of this to say, if you don't follow me on Instagram, my username is Macy, M-A-C-I-E, Renee, R-E-N-A-E _ Follow me on there. And then you are more than welcome to also friend request me on Facebook, and that's Macy Renee as well. And I love meeting new people, so I would absolutely love to have you if you're on Facebook or Instagram and introduce yourself as someone who listens to the podcast. That always excites me when people message me and say, hey, I found your podcast randomly and I wanted to say hello. I love that. But this is one of the reasons why I love having my podcast listeners on my social media, because the computer breaking didn't allow me to record another episode. We have a backup computer, but it's my husband's work computer. And so you can't just download whatever you want on it. And, a few episodes before this happened, I actually had recorded one of my episodes on my phone, but I still needed my computer to transfer, to make it a certain type of file in order to upload it on the user platform that I use for podcasting. And I didn't want to completely start over from scratch and, purchase a whole new podcast platform, because I really do like the one that I'm on, but it takes a computer to do that. So long story short, I focused hardcore on the 15 days of free coaching called A Glimpse into the Work. All of those videos are currently public. I plan to keep them up on my Facebook if you missed them until the end of August, and then it'll be transferred over into my Becoming Her program for the women that are in there. And there will be maybe the first 3 videos that are free that people can check out. But if they want access to the rest of them, they'll have to hop into Becoming Her, which is amazing, by the way. So what other things do I need to catch you up on? Okay, after I finished the 15-day series, then I went with some of I would call them my best friends, but they're my quarantine friends as well. We don't hang out around a whole lot of people, but we do hang around each other a lot. And we took a trip to Saugatuck, Michigan. We actually stayed in Glen, Michigan, which was beautiful and secluded and very close to Lake Michigan. We did fires on the beach. We went to Saugatuck for dinner and breakfast most mornings. We went to South Haven. Gosh, all of you living in Michigan, it is beautiful. It is so beautiful there. The weather was perfect. It was 73 to 75 degrees every single day. Near the water, it was nice and cool. There was no humidity like what you find in Kentucky. You could wear your hair down and curled and it wouldn't fall out. It was just amazing and so what my soul needed. And now I am back. And funny thing, the computer that had died on us that we thought was never going to come back to life, and we were looking into investing in a MacBook, which we still are. But this dang computer. I came home from Michigan and my husband was on it and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, yeah, the computer just randomly decided to work. And I was like, thank God, because I had just realized that all of my recordings for this podcast were on the computer, like the intro that I use to make sure it's the same every single time. And the ending of this episode, making sure that I could use that every single time. I was like, oh my God, I finally got those right. And I'm going to have to re-record them because the computer's not working. But now that the computer is working, I was able to transfer everything to our hard drive. And so I don't have to go through the entire pickle process. So I feel very supported in the universe right now. So anyways, that was a good 5 minutes of just catching you guys up. That won't be the norm, but considering that I have been gone for like 3 weeks, you've probably been wondering, where the heck did this girl go? Where is she? So again, if you want 15 days of what it would be like to be in my energy when I'm coaching, how I coach, the way that I approach different topics. And if you're curious about more of what we do in the Becoming Her program weekly, I encourage you to go to Facebook at Macy Renee. Find me, and those coaching videos called A Glimpse into the Work are public and they're available until the end of August. And then I will have more directions for you should you want to look more into those coaching videos, okay? Let's talk. What do we want to talk about today? Let's talk. All right, I think we should talk about doing things that scare us, because I just did this and it was so transformational even in doing it. It is so a part of what I stand for in this podcast with becoming your highest self and always striving to become better. And I think it's a very important thing to talk about because we fear doing it. We fear doing things that are going to make us better. So with this specific episode, let's talk about investing in our own growth. And this can mean multiple different things, but I'm going to talk about investing in our own personal development, okay? And when I say investing, I don't just mean monetary. I also mean time, commitment, committing to your growth. So I have told you guys in the past, I have been in the personal development, world for the last 6 years. I was introduced to it in 2014 through my relationship marketing company at the time. They were big on this thing called personal development. I had never heard of it. You guys, I grew up with a very rough childhood at times. It was in spurts. It was like roller coaster moments of, experiencing highs, experiencing lows, like a lot of other people. And I definitely grew up very quickly for my age based on the circumstances I was presented with. And I kind of thought that the only way that I could achieve the things that I wanted was through college. College was the answer. And the reason that college was the answer was because that's what my family thought was the answer. I knew nothing about mindset. I knew nothing about becoming better. I knew the phrases practice makes perfect and go to college and you can have whatever you want. So it's almost like my family taught me that in order to have the things that I desired in my life and be happy and be financially stable, college was just going to be the answer to everything. So my brain, the point in telling you this is that my brain wasn't looking for anything other than go to college and that will be the answer to everything you could ever want in your life. Happiness, money, experiences, everything, okay? I went to college. I got my bachelor's degree in health science. I got my master's degree in occupational therapy. I, just a few years ago went to massage therapy school. I'm Reiki certified all the way as a Reiki master teacher. So I've done all kinds of educational things. But here's the thing. When I was introduced to personal development, when I joined my relationship marketing company in 2014, at the time, I had never heard of bettering myself. I thought bettering myself was everything I had already done, aka go to college, be better, do better than us. That's what my family say. Be better, do better than us. So when I learned that there was work around strengthening your mindset, becoming emotionally intelligent, learning how to cope, learning how to heal. I didn't even know the industry existed. I thought there was college and there was therapy if you didn't feel like your mental health was doing good. I knew nothing about self-help books, podcasts, life coaching, nothing. Okay. But what I invested at that time, because I was a broke college kid for the most part when I was going through, my relationship marketing company in 2014, I was still in school. I didn't graduate with my master's until 2015. So I was really, really broke. I invested my time. Every day, I fell more and more in love with personal development. I read books. I listened to TED Talks. I got on YouTube. I absorbed content that was free from people who inspired me, and I applied it to my life to be better, to do better, to become better. I became so invested in myself as far as time, because that's what I had at the time, right? I invested all of my time into becoming a better me. And I don't think there has been a single day in 6 years where I have not touched, read, listened to, visualized, looked at something along the lines of self-help. It is a part of my everyday life. And it's something that I prioritize. Because what I've learned is that if you want to have it all, if you want to do it all, if you want to create whatever it is that you want to create in your life, the only reason you don't have it today, right now, in this moment, is because your mind has blocked you from having it. There is no other reason, you guys. It's as simple as that. You either have everything you desire in your life and you feel gratitude and joy and happiness and fulfillment. And yes, you're going to have still negative emotions. That's part of the human experience. Please drill that into your brain. You are always going to have highs and lows. There is no light without dark. There is no happy without sad. You wouldn't know how happy you can be if you didn't know the pits of hell that you can also experience. That's how we distinguish the differences. It is totally normal to have negative emotion. But a lot of people walk around on autopilot thinking that whatever they're living today is it. And that's it, and that's all they have to look forward to for the rest of their life, and that's just not true. And the reason that I am so passionate about life coaching and the reason that I became a coach was because personal development changed my life forever. Investing my time and eventually my money into my own mind, into my own emotional intelligence, truly transformed my life. I heavily believe in it. I know the power of investing in yourself. So if right now you're listening to this and you don't have a lot of money, listen to podcasts. There are hundreds of thousands. I'm not the only one. There are so many people that are putting out free content, right? I just did 15 days of free life coaching for you that you can find on Facebook. If you scurry on, you can watch it in 15 days, right? If you watch one a day. But here's the thing, you guys, when you invest your time, okay, your energy changes. Your energy changes as you begin to grow, as you begin to expand, as you begin to learn. When you hear things that give you an aha moment, you're cracking open another area that I would like to call your vault, right? Of being stuck in the same situation. So your vault being locked with a pad and key and bolted and all of that keeps you in the same place that you are forever. And when you are doing self-development, personal development, coaching, working on your mental health, working on your mindset, working on emotional intelligence, you're opening the vault okay? And you complete, like, your energy changes. So that means that when your energy changes, your emotion is also changing. Emotion is energy in motion, okay? So the reason I want to tell you about this is because any emotion that you're experiencing becomes the energy you're putting out in the world. The energy that you're putting out in the world is what you're going to attract back. If you're negative, if you're depressed, if you're sad all the time, if you feel like nothing's ever going to get better, if you feel hopeless and down, that's an emotion. That emotion is energy in motion. That means you're going to get more of what is making you miserable in the first place if you cannot get yourself out of it. How do you get yourself out of it? Do the personal development work. Get a coach, get a therapist, find someone that has energy where you're like, oh my God, that's my person. That's the person that's going to help me. That's the person I can lock arms with. That person's energy I vibe with. Whenever I listen to them, whenever I see their stuff, whenever I'm around them, I feel so much better. And when I'm away from them, I start to get in my own head. Find those people that make you feel a type of way and lock arms with them. Because like attracts like. So this means also the energy you surround yourself with is also the energy that you can up level to. So if you're hanging around a lot of people that are constantly sad and agitated and negative and depressed and, just can't get themselves out of a funk and they always see the glass half empty and they're just down on life all the time. And I'm not talking about like chemical imbalance depression, right? I'm talking about just not being happy with your job, not being happy with your life, not being happy with your family, having a lot of resentment, maybe not being happy in your relationship, and all of those thoughts make you want to crawl in a ball and hide because you're depressed with where your life is at. That's more of what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the people who have clinical depression. I'm talking about people who experience it in spurts and they feel like it's never going to get better because their life isn't changing. But your life cannot change without you changing. If you want to change something, you have to be willing to change. So investing your time in growing your mind when there's thousands, millions even of resources, there's really no excuse. Now, a reason that people stay where they're at forever is because they like it. Guess what? Our negative emotions release a chemical throughout our body that becomes very addicting. So these are the people that you hear complain all the time and you're like, well, go change it. And then they never change it and they keep complaining and eventually you get tired of it because you're like, well, clearly you don't hate your life. Otherwise you would change it. They've become addicted to that hit of negative chemicals, like negative emotional chemicals that run through their body when they're feeling that way. And it feels like a hit because it reinforces that they don't have to feel uncomfortable. They don't even like their life, but when those negative emotions run through their body, it is like a drug hit, right? Of, oh my gosh, this makes me feel comfortable. I don't have to go do the scary thing. I don't have to change. I don't have to face myself. I get to stay this way longer. And so they will continue to reinforce negative things. And again, those negative emotions, they keep attracting negative. They keep living in a negative cycle. If you don't want that in your life, you have to get away from people who are like that in your life and set very strong boundaries energetically, mentally, emotionally, physical maybe even. And two, be very adamant about who you're trying to become. Who are you trying to become? Are the people that you're hanging around with and spending the most time with and choosing to be around, are they where you want to be? Do you love every single quality about them so much that you would trade lives with them? If the answer is no, then that's not who you want to spend the majority of your time absorbing, listening to, talking to, being around. So when I, in 2014, learned a personal development, I, like I said, read every book, TED Talks, YouTube, everything I could get my hands on. And then in 2016, I was introduced to the world of life coaching. I had a friend that said, hey, I'm working with a life coach. It's very new to me, but she's amazing. I'd love to introduce you guys. Would you be interested in working with a life coach? And you guys, my ego was like, absolutely not. I don't want to work with a life coach. I was so in misery, you guys, at the time, but I would definitely say that I was getting a hit of those negative emotions. It reinforced my entire story, my entire life story. It allowed me to feel sorry for myself. It allowed me to blame other people. It allowed me a victim mentality. And I also was very proud to not have to ask for help. Like, I can handle anything. I can do it all on my own. I don't need someone's help. I'm especially not going to pay for someone's help. I don't even have the money, right? Like, my brain was so limited in thinking. And then I started reading a book called You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. Highly would recommend it if you haven't read it already. Great book. And I kind of considered it one of those universe nudges. Like, I got towards the end of the book and she said, when you've hit a place in your life where you feel like you're stuck and you're no longer moving forward, it's time to hire a life coach. And I was like, life coach? A friend just talked about that a few weeks ago. But I didn't think anything of it. I was still too proud. And I was like, no, I'm not going to hire a life coach. And then probably just a few days after reading that portion of the book, the same friend reached out to me and she was like, hey girl, listen, my life coach I told you about, she just started a free group on Facebook. She coaches in there all the time. She's amazing. I think you'd love her. She's looking for entrepreneurs like you. And, why don't you just get in the free group? I think you'd like it. And I heard the word free and I heard the word life coach again. And I was like, you know what? It kind of feels right. Sure. And I got in the group and I fell in love with Stacy Bayman. So some of you that listen to this may be familiar with her. She was my very first coach. She runs the podcast called Make Money as a Life Coach and the 2K for 2K program. I knew Stacy when I think when I met her, I don't even know that she had hit $100,000 in her business. Maybe she had, and it was super fresh. And I look at her today, 4 years later, and she, I think, has already hit like 4 million in her business this year. And I'm just in awe of her. And that is what I mean in investing your time. Who are you investing your time in? Do you hang around a lot of people that make you feel good and that teach you that you can do anything and you can be anything and you can have anything? Or do you hang around people that say, that's not for me, or yeah, we'll never be able to afford that, or yeah, some people, it's nice to have money. Not all of us have that. You get to decide and you get to choose who you're around and you get to choose what you want in your life. And if the people that you're absorbing the most, information from, the words from, their attitude, their energy, you get to decide if that is the energetic circle you want to match with. So be careful about investing your time. Now, the second portion I wanted to talk about is investing your money. You guys, when I tell you that it was terrifying for me to invest money in anything, I don't care what it was. It was scary for me to spend $50 at the store. I had to check my account before I could pay for groceries. I would get alerts on my phone for account balances of negative $30 in my account. Then I'd get a fee on top of that. When I tell you guys, money used to be a very big hindrance for me. It used to make me miserable. It used to make me feel very out of control. And that's why I have a money program and why I invested last year $8,000 in coaching, invested my money in learning from people who had it, not people who say, don't invest your money, you should save it, or not people who, freak out about their money, or not people who are making $30,000 a year. Those are not the people that I want to listen to. No offense, right? I wanted to hear from people that are making multiple six figures, that are living the experience I want to experience in my life, the people who don't have to say no because of money. One of the free content videos I was listening to years ago from another coach that I just absolutely adore, Melanie Ann Layer, she was teaching a free course on her. It was basically like a free Facebook Live, right, of just talking about money. And she said, with money, either you choose or money chooses for you. There's no in between. Either you're living a life where you choose what you're going to do in your life and money is not even a factor, or money chooses for you. And that's when you're living a life where money dictates everything you do. You want to get the nice meal at the restaurant, but the filet mignon is $35 and the USDA sirloin is, $14.99 or whatever, okay? And you really want the prime rib or the filet mignon, but money chooses, okay? You want to ride the yacht when you go on the, Miami, Florida experience, but really you only have money in your bank account for the fishing boat. You're out of alignment. You're not actually getting what you want, right? And then it makes money feel hard. And then you have resentment. And then you attract more of what you don't want because you're out of alignment. This is what she was talking about with either you choose or money chooses for you. And when she said that, you guys, for me, it hit me like a ton of bricks because in the time in my life, money chose everything. It chose exactly what I was going to get to experience and exactly how I was going to get to experience. It dictated what car I was going to be able to drive, what meal I was going to be able to eat, what drive-through I had to go in, what groceries I could buy, organic versus not, it dictated everything. And now everybody gets to choose, but I don't want to live my life that way. So I can't choose to hang around people that are okay with that because what you hang out, like who you hang out with, like attracts like. Your energy, who you hang out with matters, who you gain information from, who you're absorbing your knowledge from, it all matters, okay? And I wanted people in my life that would tell me you can have all of those things. You can create all of those things. You can have more, right? You can experience a life that you dream of, that you think is only available as a dream. It's not. And the only thing keeping you from it is your mindset, your belief system, your way of thinking. I've read it in a ton of books. I've heard it in a million of podcasts. I have witnessed it in women that I have met in person that used to be struggling and are no longer struggling. And I have even grown myself in getting myself out of very hard situations I never thought that I would. Okay. So if you're listening to this podcast and you feel like it's never going to happen for you, think about who are you listening to? Who are you hanging around? Who is reinforcing those beliefs in you other than yourself? Very important to recognize. And investing your money, even when it is difficult, up-levels you, okay? I can't even tell you, when I hired Stacy, okay, I will remember, let me tell you a quick story. I remember our very first conversation on the phone. I was so intimidated. I did not know what she was going to say about her pricing and what she charged. And at the time, for one-on-one coaching, she charged $600 a month for one-on-one coaching, and she charged $200 for a group program that she was going to run. And both of those felt impossible. $200 a month on myself felt impossible. And I cried on the phone because I wanted to be in the group so bad. But I didn't see a way because when I looked at my bank account, literally the only bank account that I had no savings. And I literally had like $250 in the bank account. So to sign up would mean leaving $50 to last me probably at the time 2 weeks or a week and a half till next payday in my bank account. It was terrifying. And I was reading all these books and they were talking about, obviously you want to be in the right energy when you go to invest. If it's going to make you feel more lack and more scarcity around money, then it's probably not wise to do it. But if you can get into a position of feeling excitement when you're investing and trust that it's going to work out, that's a whole different energy, okay? So I got myself in the vibe of being very excited about investing. And every time I have invested, it's crazy. That money comes back to me immediately in the weirdest of ways, like really weird ways, you guys, because I trust myself and I trust that I'm supported. I trust that when I invest not only my time, but my money in a coach that I align with. That's another thing. You don't want to just throw money at coaching because they say they're a coach and because it's $50. Now, if that's what you can afford and you align with them and their teachings, that's different. I'm talking about don't just throw your money any which way and not feel connected to them or their message or their teachings, because that doesn't work, okay? But if you feel really excited, you up level. Every time you invest, you up level. Because here's the thing, you had to become a different version of yourself to invest that money and invest your time. It's much easier for our brain to say, I don't have the time and I don't have the money. It's the two excuses people use the most because they're the most widely used in the world. Nobody debates them because everybody's using them. And so nobody questions if you say I don't have time and I don't have money, because everybody's using that, because it's the easiest way to get out of stuff that makes us uncomfortable or things we don't want to do. And a lot of times it's not even true. We do have the money for it. We maybe don't value it, or we feel fear around spending it because we don't trust that it's going to come back, which means that there's money lack. There's money fears, right? Those are underlying beliefs. Or we believe that if we spend the money, we won't show up for ourselves, which again is just a lack of discipline and self-accountability. Saying, I don't want to spend that much money because I don't know if I'm going to be able to show up. That means you're not choosing to show up. It means you're choosing the same mind that you've always had, not choosing to become different. So most of the time people don't want to invest their money because what they're using is I don't have the time, which means I'm not going to make the time, or I don't have the money, which either A means I do have the money, but I don't want to spend it on that, or I don't feel like if I spend the money, I don't know how I'm going to make it back, or C, I don't know how to make that happen, aka I don't feel like exploring options to figure it out, like, working extra hours, getting a quick side job, borrowing the money, applying for a credit card. Like, there's so many ways that money can support us. We can sell stuff that we don't use, we can clean out our closet, but a lot of times when we say I don't have time and I don't have the money, our brain automatically shuts down options to figure it out. So the reason that I want to bring this up is because if you've been thinking about investing your time or investing your money, you really need to call yourself out on your own BS. And trust me, I have to do this even to this day. Was it 2 days ago? I actually invested $2,000 cash straight to Stacy for her program. And I felt a little bit, oh shit. And I also felt very, very excited to be back in her energy to learn what she teaches. And I think that's important to mention too, that investment should feel scary because you have to become a different person to do it, which means you're up-leveling, your energy shifting. But it also means that, you should be excited. You should feel a little bit scared, but you should feel ultimately excited to show up for yourself, to become that person, to trust that you're going to become the person that, is able to make that money back, or you're going to become the person to where that thing that feels very hard now is one day not going to feel that hard. I remember, like I said, when it was hard to spend $200 a month on group coaching. And I just sent her $2,000 cash in full. I have paid a coach in the past $2,555 for 4 hours of coaching. That was hard. But I became a completely different person on the other side. And I think that that's the part that we forget, is that when you decide to do hard things that you wouldn't normally do, it means you're becoming a version of yourself you haven't been. So it's going to feel scary. And it will always 110% be worth it. You will always get something out of it. You will always learn some sort of lesson, even if that lesson is maybe they weren't the coach for me, or maybe that wasn't the best investment. And it can be an investment in anything. It can be an investment in becoming a real estate agent. It can be an investment in going to college. It can be an investment in, becoming a doctor or a teacher or whatever. It could be an investment in buying something that you've wanted forever. It doesn't just have to be one thing. But when you do that and it's not something you would normally do, you became a different person to get there. And that's super cool. It's so cool to see who you become on the other side of facing your fears and choosing that you're going to invest in yourself, your mind, your future. Like what is it that you want? Because again, the only thing that is keeping you from having it is your mind. And there's just a gap in where you're currently at and where you want to be. And the work that we do in life coaching is figuring out what gaps those are to help you get to that side you want to be on, help you become her or him. So that is today's episode, you guys. I've missed you so much. I'm so happy to be back. And again, if you want some free coaching and you want to know what it's like to be in my Becoming Her program, there are 15 days of free coaching videos on my Facebook right now, set to public, Macie Renee, MACIE RENAE. And you can just binge all of that until the end of August. And then afterwards, that'll all be uploaded into my Becoming Her program. And you can learn more about that on MacieRenee.com. And if you stick around to listen to the end of this podcast, I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey girl, did you know there's a place for you to continue this work outside of the podcast? Well, there is, and it's called Becoming Her. This is my online and ongoing coaching container for self-mastery. Everything takes place online and is the best value for your investment if you're wanting to work with me. This is for women that want to create lasting change by learning how to master themselves, their energy, their mindset, and how to do the deep inner work. It's a growing community where you're supported for life with live online trainings, access to all previously recorded content, and 2 one-on-one coaching calls with me per month. It's an investment where you can rest assured you'll have everything you need at your fingertips and where there's one primary goal, becoming your highest self. If this has been something you're looking for, join us and be a part of the growth. You can find out more information on MacieRenee.com.